All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Guys, we're starting. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. We're calling this meeting to order. Today is May 14th, 2025. The time is now 6:16 p.m. This is our afternoon evening session for our regular scheduled council meeting. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Nicole Reynoso.
Present.
Councilman Rafael Pineiro.
Present.
Councilwoman Digna Cabral.
Here.
Vice Mayor Maureen Porras. Here. Mayor Christie Fraga.
Present.
Motion passes.
Please
As we have
rise.
quorum.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilwoman Reynoso.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Agenda order of business. Is there any other new items to consider in this agenda? Madam City Manager, Mr. City Attorney?
No, Mayor.
Okay.
No, Madam Mayor.
All right, we'll move into public comments at this time. All right, for public comments, please remember that you can approach the podium and speak on any item on this agenda or anything germane to this council. You have 3 minutes to speak in a respectful manner. Please state your name and address for the record. We'll go ahead and start with the comment cards. If you did not fill out a comment card, you can still speak. Just make sure to fill out a comment card as you conclude. We're going to go ahead and start with Mr. Richard Gladstadt.
Good evening. Richard Gluckstadt, 4768 Northwest 114th Avenue. I have this T-shirt. You can read it. It says, "I'm not really mad. I'm just German." But what does that really mean? Well, a German person like me, who happens to have been born in the United States because of World War II, is very sensitive to the political environment in which he lives today. Especially anything that has anything close to, smells like, looks like, acts like fascism, Nazism. But I am disappointed. I never in my wildest dreams thought that the people in Doral, and even the nation as a whole, could wind up falling into the trap of fascism in which we've created for ourselves right now. We know how well corruption destroys government and society. Germany was a product of that corruption. Anytime we have corruption in government, and we get to the point where somebody comes in like Adolf Hitler or Donald Trump and says he's going to solve all our problems on day one, you know that's a lot of bull. That's just to get people to vote for them, to support them, so when they get into the power, they can steal all the money. They can do all the corruption they want. They can take airplanes from the Qatari royal family. They can rape people. They can take people away and make them disappear. That's what we've gotten to now. Transparency International, which is located in Berlin, Germany, has rated our country an F rating in corruption. We have a 64. We're number 25 from the top. That's an F. Now, most all the countries that you come from are in the 40s, rated in the 40s, Latin America. Even more corrupt than the United States. So the reason you came here, your families came here, like my family came here, is to get away from that. And you're doing the same exact corruption and stupidity that your families ran away from, that you yourselves ran away from. You're acting like corrupt fascists. You see it, but you ignore it. You smell it, but you pretend it's not there. Nicaragua, Cuba, Venezuela, Dominican Republic, just to name a few. That's the background we see here. So why are you here today? Why? Why didn't your families just stay in those countries, or why did you have to be born here to continue that corruption that you supposedly fled from, with the dictators, the right-wing dictators? You people supported those dictators. Somoza was in there twice, his son, the father and the son. Haiti, Papa Doc and Baby Doc.
Mr. Gladstone, let's wrap
Cuba
up.
had Fulgencio Batista in there twice. He was elected dictator twice. When are you going to wake up and smell the coffee? And stop putting money in your pocket just thinking about yourselves? Where are you going to go when this place collapses? If you're ready for a revolution, believe me, it's going to happen.
Mr.
Because
Gladstone,
people are going to get fed up.
we've given you an additional 20 seconds. Please wrap up.
Thank you. So
Thank you.
be careful what you do, what you say, the way you treat people. Learn the Constitution. You take oaths to support it, but yet you don't support the Constitution. What you do is you support yourselves.
Thank you, Mr. Gladstone. Appreciate
How
your
about
time.
supporting the country, democracy, people? Don't think of yourself first, think of your country first, if this is your country.
Thank you. Next, we will have Louis Mar Garza.
I got a quick question, because it's been a while. Still trying to clarify. If I comment now for 3 minutes, when it has to do with an actual agenda item, do I wait till you discuss it, or do I discuss my agenda item now?
If it is a public hearing item, we will open up public comments at that time for those items specifically, but you have to speak specific to that item.
Yes, and how do I know that it's,
I
well, it's
will
a
open up-
second reading, the
correct.
first and second, I can talk on.
I will open up public comments, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I guess, but based upon what he did, is this like a freebie?
Well,
beginning?
we always have open public comments at the beginning of every
On
meeting.
the second one, correct. Again, Louis Marza Betty Garza. Once again, I'm just going to kind of tie into what he just said. I can find it here. I am going to be a little bit opposite of you, my good friend. I'm going to say to each of you, start listening to where Trump is pointing. And in the vein of God works in mysterious ways to all the crafty and illegal vulture Venezuelans, as have been traitors in Doral for decades, you have heard our Commander-in-Chief, Donald Bam Bam Trump, and it bodes you well to seriously reconsider a long-stay destination in your familial genealogical homeland. God shall guide you from there. Doji and Doral, and scene. I'll see you on the next items.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. Okay, that concludes our public comments, comment cards. If anyone else would like to speak, now would be the opportunity. Please approach the podium. Being no more public comments, we will close this portion of the meeting. Madam Clerk, let the record reflect no one else has chosen to speak at this time, and we will move on to our public hearing items. Madam Clerk?
Madam Mayor, can I please swear in the witnesses?
Yes, ma'am.
If you will be presenting testimony in any of the public hearing items, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that the information that I'm about to present shall be the truth and nothing but the truth. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you very much.
First item, item 19B, a resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, approving /denying a parking variance for IMF Doral LLC for the property located at 1212 Northwest 82nd Avenue, Doral, Florida, pursuant to section 53-460 of the city's land development code, providing for survivability, conflicts, and an effective date.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I will open up public comments for this item at this time. Public comments is now open for 25-6153. Anyone who would like to speak on this item and this item alone, please approach the podium. Okay, being none, public comments is closed. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Waiting for the queue up.
IT, please, presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Michelle Lopez on behalf of the Planning and Zoning Department. This evening to present your first land use item. The applicant is IMF Doral LLC for a project located at 1212 Northwest 82nd Avenue. The site is approximately 3.35 acres, and the applicant is requesting a variance from section 77-139, required off-street parking, of the city's land development code to permit a parking reduction from the required 151.2 parking spaces to 133 parking spaces, which effectively is a 12% reduction through their application. The site is currently land used as business with an industrial zoning classification. Land uses to the north and to the east are also industrial with business land uses to the south and west. And then we have industrial zoning to the north and to the east and commercial corridor zoning to the west and the south. The site was developed in 1988 when prior to the city's incorporation, and followed the parking calculations for hotel at the time, which is a transient use and typically doesn't require the level of parking that multifamily does. The site currently features 8 two-story buildings and 4 three-story buildings, each containing 4 units per building. There's 52 one-bedroom, one-bath apartments and 60 studio apartments, which totals 112 units. The applicant intends to convert the existing hotel into a multifamily residential apartment project with a deed restriction for residents aged 55 and older. The site plan is currently under administrative site plan review, subject to the Florida Live Local Act, Affordable Housing Program pursuant to Florida Statutes 166.04151, which was effective July 1st of last year. Site photos on the screen will show a photo of the interior side of the property as currently developed, and the bottom photo is a view from Northwest 82nd Avenue. The site plan through the administrative site plan process is not changing. The site plan is simply converting the use from the existing hotel use to multifamily with the deed restriction discussed. Parking calculations in our code require effectively 1.35 spaces per unit, which is how we got to that 151.2 calculation. The site, as I mentioned, has 133 parking spaces. The original application was seeking to go for straight multifamily. However, in an effort to reduce their desired variance or their needed variance to continue with the project, the applicant proffered the deed restriction for residents that are 55 and older, and the code effectively reduces the parking calculation for that specific use with the deed restriction. As such, staff recommends that the mayor and council members consider the proposed parking variance for IMF Doral located at 1212 82nd Avenue with the added condition that the variance will be null and void at time of future site development. I'm available for questions, and the Attorney's Land Use Council is also present this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, if there's any questions or if there is any presentation from the applicant, otherwise we need a motion.
Motion.
Motion to approve by Councilman Pinedo.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Cabral. If there's no other discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve made by Councilman Pinedo, seconded by Councilwoman Cabral. Councilman Pinedo?
Do I say something?
Councilman Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reynoso?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Porras?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. We move on to the next item.
Item 19C, first reading, ordinance number 2025-18, amending Chapter 34, alcoholic beverages. An ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, amending Chapter 34 of the city of Doral Code of Ordinances titled Alcoholic Beverages, providing for incorporation of recitals, incorporation into the code, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and open up public comments for this item. Public comments is now open for item 25-6162. Anyone who would like to speak on this item, please approach the podium at this time. I do have one comment card for Mr. Richard Gledstad. He's outside. One last time, Mr. Richard Gledstad, we do have a comment card for you for item 25-6162, 19C. Would you like to speak?
That's right.
Please make sure your comments are addressed to this item. Okay.
Pardon me?
Please make sure your comments are addressed to this item for public comments. Thank you.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be disappeared if I didn't, would I? No. Sent to a gulag in Afghanistan or someplace. Okay, Richard Gluckstead. I'm going to talk about this because I remember all the hubbub when the thing was originally passed. And when I saw the contract prepared so well, so fast, I said that nobody in this city wrote that. That had to be a mafia contract that one of the club owners had put in front of you to pass. And I remember Maureen Porras vociferously supporting it originally.
Mr.
And
Gladstone,
some of
let's
you
try and
were against
keep
it.
it general, please.
I'm talking about this.
I know.
So, my
I'm trying to be
goodness.
kind, but please, let's keep
This
it
is the
general.
way I talk. Just don't interrupt me. You're just like Bermudas. You're all the same. You're all dictators. So now I see everything's changing. A lot of the old stuff was struck out. And basically nothing was put in there to, to, to really change it, to make it better. As a matter of fact, it looks worse to me. And from what I can see, you're letting these clubs stay open basically as late as they wanted to in the first place. So what happened is, here they are fighting after people were killed, so we could change things and everybody would look nice and kosher and everything, except maybe Maureen Porras, who thought the thing was terrific. But now you're going back and changing it again to make it less desirable for the public in general and more dangerous, especially for the police. So that's why I'm against it. There's no reason you had to change that. It was fine the way it was. The clubs had to go through a process in order to get extended hours. That was fine. I was kind of okay with that, even though I didn't think they should stay open till 3 o'clock like you're going to do now. But this is wrong. Somebody's putting money in somebody's pockets to pass this, to change it, to go back to the way it was. You'll say, okay, don't worry, Mr. Martini Bar. We'll do this now, then in 6 months we'll bring it back when nobody remembers, and we'll change it for you. Don't worry. We'll get it right back to the way you want it. And that's what's happening now. People have a real short memory, real short memory. I have a good memory. There's a lot of things about some of you I remember that aren't even worth repeating. If I really wanted to get down and dirty, I could really do it. So don't pass this. Don't BS the people anymore. Stop changing things all the time for your own conveniences. Do things the right way. Stop changing political parties at the drop of a hat.
Thank you, Mr. Gladstone. Anyone
you
else
can
would
do
like
what's
to
in your
speak
best
on
interest.
this item? If anyone else would like to speak, please approach the podium at this time. Being none, Madam Clerk, public comments is now closed. Let the record reflect no one else has chosen to speak, and we'll turn this over to Planning and Zoning and the City Attorney's Office for clarification.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council. In conjunction with City Attorney's Office and Code Enforcement, Planning and Zoning, after receiving the direction from the City Council during the February 12th, 2025 council meeting, staff was directed to review and recommend modifications for policy direction to Chapter 35 of the City Code. Through these proposed amendments, we've done that for the council's consideration. I'm going to walk you through these 8 items. They're high-level points. I'll explain them in a little bit more detail to provide some clarity, and then Mr. Kobiela and myself are available for questions. So the first item that I'd like to touch on is a clarification to the definitions, where we've added definitions for regular permitted and extended permitted. Specifically, regular permitted, which wasn't previously defined, means the sale of hours for alcohol, sale hours for alcohol shall mean the permitted sale of alcohol from 8 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. For extended permitted, sale hours for alcohol shall mean the permitted sale of hours from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. The second item on the screen is a clarification of the classification of vendors. So in the prior rendition of the code, there was 3 classifications that all had varying definitions, and we found that it caused confusion for the businesses, the residents, the patrons, staff, code enforcement, et cetera. Not because the staff doesn't understand the code, we understand it quite well, but because you could be one classification prior to a certain time in the evening, we'll say 10 p.m., just for an example, and then at 10:01, your business can turn into a different classification. We found that when applying that in the field during business operating hours, that became confusing. And we always want to provide clarity. So the previous classifications were alcohol establishments, entertainment venues, and entertainment establishments. So we've combined all 3 of those classifications under entertainment establishments, which is also referenced in the Land Development Code. So by doing this, we don't have to go back into the LDRs and amend those. So entertainment establishment, as currently defined in the proposed, is a business primarily devoted to serving alcohol beverages in which the service of food and or entertainment is secondary to the consumption of alcoholic beverages. Entertainment establishments include, without limitation, dance halls, nightclubs, adult entertainment venues. They may also include art galleries, theaters, state-chartered non-for-profit theaters with live performances, movie theaters, museums, banquet halls, bowling alleys, billiards, and amusement facilities. They may also include alcohol beverage establishments, which are businesses primarily devoted to serving alcoholic beverages for consumption on premises, including, without limitation, bars, pubs, lounges, tasting rooms, and wine cafes. The third item that we're going to touch on is the extended hours review and approval process. So in the current version of the code as adopted, the extended hours permit is a council action item. We felt that we could effectively get to the same result by making it an administrative review and approval process. And if the administration denied an application, it would then default to an appeal process that's available in the code. This is very similar to, or actually exactly like your administrative site plan review process, where if staff denies the request, the applicant may appeal it to the city council. The next item on your list is location restrictions. So currently your code has a distance requirement from educational facilities, places of worship, from 2,500 feet to a place that serves alcohol. We felt that this was excessive, and so we're reducing that distance from 2,500 feet to 500 feet. And then also, there was a very extensive list of similar uses that we've stricken. And what that means is if you're in a shopping center and you have 3 or 4 restaurants, the code effectively didn't allow for all of those restaurants to pull entertainment established permits or extended hours permits. So we felt that that was a hardship to some of the businesses. So we've gone ahead and stricken that list. The next item on the list is the city exemption, where the city is exempt from the requirements of the chapter, and the city may host and participate in events where alcohol will be sold or included with or without price or admission or without the necessary to comply with this section of the code. The next item on your list for clarification from the public comment received is the hours of sale and consumption. We're actually rolling back the hours, not rolling them forward. And so currently, restaurants can do last service at 1:30. That's not changing. Restaurants will continue to be able to sell and serve until 1:30. Entertainment establishments, which was previously entertainment establishments, alcoholic establishments, and entertainment venues, currently in the code, they have to do last service. They can call for last service at 2:30. We're rolling that back to 1:30, so we're rolling it back by an hour. And then the current closure as codified is 3:30 a.m. We're rolling that back to 2 a.m. For extended hours, we're doing something similar. Last service as codified is 2:30 a.m. We're proposing 2 a.m., a 30-minute rollback. Closing as codified is 3:30 a.m. We're proposing a 2:30 a.m. Closing, so that's a rollback of an hour. And then in the current code, everyone needs to be out by 4 a.m. We're proposing 3 a.m. The next item on the list is the public safety measures affidavit. In the current code, there's a security plan that is required, which includes security cameras, use of off-duty police officers or private security, use of weapons detection system, identification checks, and then obviously compliance with the Florida Responsible Vendor Act pursuant to Florida statute. As the code is currently written, the applicant submits that security plan to staff with their application. Planning and zoning reviews it. We give it to the police department. They review it. They conduct an inspection. The police department signs off. They give their approval to planning and zoning, and then we take the item to council. We felt that that was an exhaustive process for the city staff. It also created extensive liability to the police department, the administration, and staff. Florida statutes does have regulations that require the applicant to comply with not allowing firearms in a place of business that serves alcohol and other measures that they require for security. So we felt that we could keep the requirements for security measures, but rather than the city signing off on those security measures and conducting an inspection, the applicant would give us an affidavit certifying that they're in compliance and they need to maintain that compliance. And the last item on the list is the code enforcement measures. In the current rendition of the code is to go out 4 times a year. We felt that the businesses, if they determine that they're only going to be inspected 4 times a year, they can take the risk of going through those inspections, possibly failing, possibly passing, and then they're not inspected the rest of the year. We felt that all code enforcement measures should defer back to Chapter 11, which is the code enforcement chapter of the code, and that allows our code enforcement department to inspect businesses as needed year-round without restriction or limitation on number of inspections. I'm available for questions. As stated earlier, our city attorney, Mr. Cobiella, is also available for questions. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much. Anything you want to add, Mr.?
Just want to add one point to the actual affidavit that's going to be signed. It's also going to include an indemnity provision and hold harmless. So in the event that something happens, another tragedy, God forbid that never happens again, then the holder or the affiant will hold harmless the city for any thing that may occur.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from the council? None? Okay. I do have just a couple clarifications, and I think most of it was clarified in your presentation, Michelle, but from my understanding of reviewing this, and I had actually stated from the very beginning I was in agreement and wanted to see a change to this to stricter hours, which is what I had proposed originally, which this code does and is much more clear. But I think the most important part was the clarification of uses and descriptions of the businesses because of the complications of confusion that it could cause even for the business owner under what they fall and what licenses they have to pull. And I think that's where most of our violations is that they thought that they fall under one thing and they fall under another and those restrictions. So I think clarifying who has what type of license is just, it's much clearer for staff and for the business owner to understand what their limitations are.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. Second, you went through the rollback of the hours. Just wanted to make it very clear. Right now, the businesses were still available to be open till 4 a.m. We are rolling that back where it has to shut down at 3 if you are established under nightclub.
As an extended hours, yes.
As extended hours, and if not, it's 2 a.m.
Yes.
And last call is at 3:30 for those extended hours, or 2 a.m. Sorry, and then 3:30 is the
Last call is 2 a.m.
2 a.m. Right, and then they have the 30 minutes to get out, and then 30 minutes to make sure everybody is cleared out.
Correct.
Right. So just to make sure, because if you have last call at 2 a.m., the idea is you get 30 minutes to be able to have that drink, whatever it was. Lights turn on. Everybody has to be out by 3.
Correct, with the extended hours permit.
With the extended hours permit. Otherwise, it's you fall under
The regular
restrictions
hours.
of 1:30 and 2 a.m.
Yes, correct.
And then restaurants, we left it the same. We didn't touch it, which that was at 1:30. For the extended hours, we didn't change the fact that we've created security measures, except we've taken the liability off the city and required them to do it. And now we can do random inspections.
Yes.
Versus basically they don't know when we're coming, but they know it's 4 times a year. So if they did 4 already, they know the rest of the year they can party free.
Right.
Now it's randomly we can show up, and if we do that inspection, they're not following the code, they're not doing the wanding and all the things they're supposed to be doing, we can pull their license.
Correct.
Okay, and there's fines.
After a
fines.
number of
Right.
offenses, yes.
Correct, but eventually you can pull their license if they're not. So I just want to clarify any misconception that there may be that this is a less stricter section of our code. We're actually making it more clear for everyone, and we are making it stricter and safer in our community. Rolling it back, which I think was what we should have done from the first place. I didn't support the first changes because I didn't think that it actually met the needs of our community. I don't think that it accomplished the intent of what we were trying to do to make sure that what happened doesn't happen again. So I'm very comfortable with these changes. Obviously, this is something that we will continue to monitor. The changes that were made also in distance, I think, was very, very heavily studied because there was a lot of businesses that ran into issues that had been here and who came first and if the business sold. So I think that they're very reasonable and we haven't had an issue with. But obviously, we monitor these things and review them so that if changes need to happen, they can. Clearly, what was changed back in October did not work, and that's why these proposals have come forward. So I feel very comfortable moving forward with this. I think that it really clarifies any ambiguities that may be in our code. So thank you very much for working on this. I need a motion. Motion to approve by Councilman Pinedo.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Reynoso. If there's no further questions, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2025-18 on first reading made by Councilman Pinedo, seconded by Councilwoman Reynoso. Councilman Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Porras?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. We move on to the next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 19D, ordinance number 2025-19, amending Chapter 68, Article 3, tandem parking and mixed-use developments. An ordinance of the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Doral, Florida, amending Chapter 68, Article 3 of the City of Doral Code of Ordinances, titled Office Districts, creating Section 68-307, titled Tandem Parking and Mixed-Use Developments, providing for incorporation of recitals, incorporation into the code, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you very much. We're opening up public comments for item 25-6163. Anybody that would like to speak on this issue, please approach the podium.
Luis Morales Betty Garza. There seems to be a little bit of flexibility in how we're communicating, and I will tell you, as witchy as I am, in comparison to Maricopa County, Arizona, you are miles above, and I'm sure there's going to be some comparisons made video-wise soon. But for the tandem on 19D and 19E, if I could make a suggestion, part of the order of when we come here and take notes of the presentation, and then we formulate our questions as you're formulating yours, would it be too much of a hardship if you reverse the order of allowing the presentation first? I take notes, I know which kind of questions I wish to ask, and then it goes back to you, and it might answer many questions without us going and not being able to actually review the attached hyperlinks. So in that regard, I had 2 or 3 comments for the one before without realizing once she presented it. So I'll end up sending you an email, but number 3 for extended hours, now I'm going to get a little witchy. It seems to me like it's an easy way, if you roll back the hours and have them have a special use permit, that it's a way to bank a little extra money for the filing fees and the people that they have to hire, et cetera. That would be my negative point on that. But consider the order in which it's presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments on this item, 25-6163, 19D? Being none, Madam Clerk, let the record reflect no one has chosen to speak at this time, and we will hear from Planning and Zoning, if there's any, or, sorry, City Attorney's Office. Not sure which one, I think it's City Attorney's Office.
Yeah. So this is an item that I worked on with Planning and Zoning. It's something that is addressing a particular need in a very specific area in the city in order to be able to provide for better residential parking in this particular mixed use. And what it's basically doing is it's just allowing for tandem parking. And tandem parking, and forgive the graphic, but it's the easiest way is when you have a car parked and you have the car parked right behind it. and you allow that. That's usually allowed in single-family homes, and we're just going to allow it in mixed use in this particular district. You'll notice in the actual ordinance itself that geographically it is restrictive to a particular area. And if you have any questions, either Ms. Lopez or I can answer those.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Attorney. If there's no more questions, then we just need a motion.
Motion.
Motion to approve by Councilman Pinedo,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Reynoso. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2025-19 on first reading made by Councilman Pinedo, seconded by Councilwoman Reynoso. Councilman Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilman Cabral?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Porras?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. We move on to the next item.
Next item, 19E, ordinance number 2025-20, amending Chapter 68, Article 4, tandem parking and mixed-use developments. An ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, amending Chapter 68, Article 4 of the city of Doral Code of Ordinances titled Commercial Districts, creating Section 63-387 titled Tandem Parking and Mixed-Use Developments, providing for incorporation of recitals, incorporation into the code, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you very much. We're opening up public comments to item 25-6164. Anyone would like to speak?
Louis
Please
Mars
approach.
Betty Garza, she didn't answer, but did you explain what the tandem issue, give me the cliff notes on what this tandem parking is like? And that's why in the order of things, I could present that question before it's approved. So if I could get that for this one, what is the entire structure of tandem parking? Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak on this item? Any public comments? Please approach the podium. Being none, public comments is closed. Madam Clerk, let the record reflect no one else chosen to speak at this time. Mr. City Attorney, any additional comments?
Madam Mayor, this item is identical to the previous one. The previous one dealt with particular mixed-use units, in office districts. This one addresses the same in commercial districts, but it is basically the same identical ordinance.
Right.
If you have any particular questions, or if you'd like me to
Tandem
repeat.
parking is one car parks behind the other in the same unit. So if you have the same unit, you can park one car behind the other, husband and wife, and it preserves some space. Valet, correct, yes. You're welcome. Okay, no other questions? We need a motion?
Motion.
Motion to approve by Councilman Pinedo, second by Councilwoman Cabral. Sorry, I wasn't sure where it came from. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2025-20 on first reading made by Councilman Pinedo, seconded by Councilwoman Cabral. Councilman Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reynoso?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Porras?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you very much. We move on to second reading items. Madam Clerk.
A second reading, item 19F, ordinance number 2025-14, amending Article 3, Boards, Committees, and Commissions. An ordinance of the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Doral, Florida, amending Article 3, Boards, Committees, and Commissions in Chapter 2, Administration of the City's Code of Ordinances, revising the sunset provision and appointment requirements, providing for implementation, incorporation into the code, severability, conflicts, and an effective date. This was approved on first reading on April 16th.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're opening up the public comments for item 25-6137. Anyone who would like to speak, please approach the podium.
Louis Mars Betty Garza, you are, according to the hyperlink, amending the Article 3 of the boards, committees, commissions, and sunsetting, and appointment requirements. Are you minimizing them? Are you complicating it? Are you changing the whole structure? If you give us a little bit more clarity on what is going on with this particular one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comments? Being none, public comments are now closed.
Motion.
Motion to approve by Councilman Pinedo,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Reynoso. Any other questions? All this does, Ms. Garza, is take certain restrictions off, like members that are appointed had to attend a meeting before actually being appointed to a board, background checks, things like that. It makes it a little bit more accessible to our community to be able to be appointed to a board. That's all this does.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2025-14 on second reading made by Councilman Pinedo, seconded by Councilwoman Reynoso. Councilman Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Porras?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, moving on to the next one. Sorry, thought I was closing public comments again. Move on, Madam Clerk.
Item 19G, ordinance number 2025-15, amending Chapter 8, Federal Solicitors and Canvassers. An ordinance of the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Doral, Florida, amending Chapter 8, Business, Article 3, Federal Solicitors Canvassers, providing for implementation, incorporation into the code, severability, and an effective date. This was approved on first reading on April 16th.
Okay. We're opening up public comments for item 25-6126. Anyone who would like to speak on this item, please approach the podium.
Well, God works in mysterious ways again. Certainly, this is directed somewhat to homeless people. So, if you could give me the cliff notes on what is being modified in this particular thing. Bear in mind, I have not had time to dig into all this from today. So, because like I said, I've been gone for a long time. So, cliff notes, please. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak? Being none, public comments closed on item 19G, 25-6162.
Motion.
Motion to approve by Councilman Pinedo,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Reynoso. There's no further questions. This item is coming forward to amend our code because business owners had to pull a permit through the clerk's office to solicit private communities. So it is basically just taking the clerk out of it. Now they just have to go to planning and zoning to pull a permit to be able to knock on doors if you're selling something. That's all. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2025-15 on second reading made by Councilman Pinedo, seconded by Councilwoman Reynoso. Councilman Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilman Cabral?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Porras?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay.
Item 19H, ordinance number 2025-16, amending Office of the Inspector General duties. An ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, amending Chapter 2, Administration, Division 5, Section 2-185, Office of the Inspector General, providing for implementation, incorporation into the code, severability, and an effective date. This was approved on first reading on April 16.
All right, we're opening up public comments for item 25-6118. Public comments is now open.
Forgot about me.
Please make sure to give one to the clerk, Ms. Garza. Okay.
Luis Betty Garza, with reference to this, as you have put together, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be a little witchy now, as you've put together the IG, the new IG, and I would like to present to you, as you are involved with this also. This is a book, if you look at page 9. I just checked it out of the little city library. And I would like for you to read what you're reading, and from Arizona, Maricopa County, Arizona. I say to you, Arizona ARS 3507, say hello to Florida Statute 847012. And the reason it applies is because the new IG said that he's ready for a job. And this is the kind, according to the memo, that says your conduct has permitted this book to be in access for the library just down the street. Now, I'm going to read it real quick because I know I don't have a lot of time. But Florida statute says, and this book is called It's Perfectly Normal. And as you know, in addition to all the societal ills that I am suffering at the moment, I also happen to be of the LG community, the lesbian version, one gender for my female body. It is unlawful for any person knowingly to sell, rent, or loan for monetary consideration to a minor, to distribute to a minor, to allow a minor to view harmful material. A person who violates this section commits a felony of the 3rd degree. As used in this section, harmful to minors means any reproduction, image, description, exhibition, presentation, or other written or recorded matter that depicts nudity, sexual conduct, or sexual excitement. Page 9. Predominantly appeals to a prurient, shameful, or morbid interest of minors. And finally, is utterly without redeeming serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value for minors. That being said, I do commend you for allowing me to speak, because if you take the time to look at the videos that have occurred in Maricopa County, Arizona for the last 6 months, it has been obscenely contentious. Now, each one of you work for the government, and the conduct of having this book in this library, and they apparently are all over the country, needs to be removed out of the reach of the children and definitely not in the libraries. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, any other public comments? Being none, public comments is now closed. Do we have a motion or any questions?
I have some comments.
Okay, before we actually go into that, I just want to clarify, Ms. Garza, The public library is under Miami-Dade County. I will be sure to contact our county commissioner's office, and I would suggest he's right down the road, that you go and speak with him as well, because that should not be in our public libraries.
Maricopa County is going to learn from you.
We'll make sure to let them know that that is in our public libraries. I definitely don't want that in our city public libraries, but I'll give you Commissioner Bermudez's office, which is right down the road, because that falls under county commissioners.
Talked to him for 3 years now, but go ahead.
But I will make sure to reach out to the chairman of the board as well. Thank you. All right. Any questions on this item?
I have some,
Vice Mayor?
yes. Just very quickly, I spoke to the attorney about it. Well, there's two items. This one and the other one, I think my comments are relevant, but I'll make this one quick because this one's only essentially assigning the duties of a code compliance officer to an inspector general. But the last sentence of section 2-1857, which is being added to this, says that citations issued by the inspector general may be appealed to the 11th Judicial Circuit in and for Miami-Dade County, Florida. And that sentence is incomplete and makes it, in my opinion, in violation of due process, as we need to actually receive notice and an opportunity for a hearing before any penalty can be assessed. My suggestion is to remove that last sentence since we're going to deal with it in the next item, but I'm happy to discuss it now, or if we can discuss it in the next one. But the point is that my view on that is that it lacks the constitutional protections that due process affords to us. Mr. Attorney, can you opine?
Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Words are hard to get out of my mouth after a full day. Chapter 162 has two different sections, Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1 is really where it discusses an alternative method by which code enforcement officers can either create a code enforcement board or a magistrate process and process the citations. Let's call it in-house. There's an alternative also. Actually, that is the alternative. The standard is embedded in Chapter 162.21, which is enforcement of county or municipal codes or ordinances. That entire code provides that how a code enforcement officer is supposed to act, who can be a code enforcement officer, the fact that 30-day notice needs to be provided, the fact that also citations, that for the contesting of citations in county court. It was discussed that based on the nature of these particular types of violations, which deal with really the conduct of the board, that it's perhaps better for those to be contested. I mean, after giving due notice and all the necessary requirements under Chapter 162.21 to county court. So I would suggest, if we're going to adopt it, just to make a couple of corrections, specifically where it says citations issued by the Inspector General, I would put may be contested as provided in Florida Statute Chapter 162 to the county court in and for Miami-Dade County. And that way it just follows and we can be very specific, actually more specific, and say as provided in Florida Statute Chapter 162.21, which lays out all the notice provisions, if that's acceptable.
I think that works.
Okay, Madam Clerk, did you grasp that?
So I'm gonna have to gather
We're
up.
adding
Yeah, I'll be specific. So,
section 2-185, section 7.
right, so on Section 7 where it says appeal to the 11th Circuit Court in and for Miami-Dade County, Florida, we would strike that and replace it with contested as provided in Florida Statutes Chapter 162.21 to the county court in and for Miami-Dade County.
I will get that from the record.
All right.
Okay.
Motion.
All right, motion to approve with that addition.
Right.
Second by Councilwoman Reynoso. Any other questions or concerns? Being none, Madam Clerk?
Motion to approve ordinance number 2025-16 as amended, made by Councilman Pinedo, seconded by Councilwoman Reynoso. Councilman Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral? Vice Mayor Porras?
No.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. We move on to the next item.
The next item, 19I, Ordinance number 2025-17, penalties for violating rules of conduct. An ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Doral, Florida, amending chapter 2, administration, article 2, city council, and creating division 5, penalties, providing for implementation, incorporation, or recitals, incorporation into the code, severability, and an effective date. This was approved on first reading on April 16.
Okay, we're opening up public comments for item 256140. Anyone would like to speak, please approach the podium at this time. All right, being none, public comments is now closed. Madam Clerk, the record reflect no one has chosen to speak at this time. Any questions on this item?
I have comments on this.
Okay, Vice Mayor Porras.
Okay, so just to reiterate the same, this one actually goes into the actual procedure for issuing a citation as well as withdrawing or, let me see, deducting the fine from the council stipend. So I think that, and I agree with adding the citations should be addressed or handled pursuant to section 162.21. My issue is that the way it's written here is not consistent with that.
Okay.
So if we could say that again, like reiterate the same thing, I think it would meet the requirement because, I mean, I can point out exactly what's not consistent with it, but I think that'll fix it.
Yeah, I imagine that you're referring to section B where it discusses appeals of citations to the 11th. We can
That
strike
and-
that and reform it and be specific as to following all the notice provisions and requirements as provided in chapter 162.21.
That one, and also right after C, any fine due by a member shall be deducted from his or her stipend by the finance director at the direction of the city manager. I think adding language again, that it needs to go through.
It needs to go through process, right? Absolutely, and once the order is final, then that can be deducted, but once all remedies have been exhausted. I'm okay with adding that language if the board is okay with adding that.
Yeah, this doesn't change the fact that it has to go through the process of being appealed to a court.
Correct.
What I don't want is our magistrate to become a courtroom, which is why I think it was important to have those separations. There needs to be enforcement of penalties. Right now, we have sections of our code that get violated, and there's no penalties. There's no enforcement to, someone not following the rules. They're there, but then they're violated, and there's no penalty. So now with the IG's office, those complaints and grievances should be taken up with the IG's office. The IG office will review if there is evidence and actual wrongdoing based on the charter and the code. And if they have findings of such based on that evidence and their due diligence and investigation, then they will recommend the penalty, or they will issue the citation of the violation. If it is a criminal one, I'm assuming they will take it to the state attorney's office. If it is just a violation of our code, such as maybe giving a certificate you weren't supposed to give, or whatever that may be, in that case, there is a citation that is tied and a penalty that is tied to not following the rules. Just like you would get a ticket if you take a red light. That citation is given by the IG's office, and if any of us are to receive that, we can take up our objection to it at the court. We can object to it and then plead our case, and the court and a judge will decide if the IG was right or if that person was right. At that point, when the order is finalized, then the penalty will be deducted from your stipend or your paycheck or whatever it is, or it will be paid by the offender.
Correct.
Correct? I just wanted to put it on the record what the process would be.
You have the right to contest, you have the right to receive notice.
Correct.
Everything that's laid out in the chapter.
This does not preclude that.
And you also have the right to then appeal it afterwards if you
You just
if you need
can't
to.
do it with our magistrate or our
It's separating the
criminal
process
It's a separated, independent process.
for this specific
Correct.
purpose, yes.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
And just to clarify, whatever the process under section 162.21 is what's going to be followed, and yeah, it does not include the special magistrate, it includes the courts, but it's still a section that provides for a procedure. So just clarifying, we're using that section.
Yeah, I mean, anything that has to do with code compliance and code enforcement has to have a procedure. The city can choose, the chapter can choose an alternative, but if it's choosing to follow the statute, it can follow either Section 1 or Section 2, and it can have different codes governed by the different sections of the statute.
But
So
what the
that's
statute
fine.
basically says is that you are able to contest.
Yes,
And have a place to contest that
citation.
that citation.
Yes, yes, Mayor.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that? So the motion can incorporate the amendment.
If you can say the amendment for the record, that'd be great.
It's the same thing. He's going to get you the section of the statute
Thank
that the
you.
councilwoman, that the vice mayor would like to be referenced
Thank you.
within the
I'll second.
code.
Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Motion.
So the motion and a second on the table.
Second.
If there's no other comments, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2025-17 on second reading as amended, made by Councilwoman Reynoso, seconded by Councilwoman Pinedo. Councilwoman Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
No.
Vice Mayor Porras?
No.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. I think we have just passed one of the most transparent policies in the history of Doral. Congratulations. All right. We will now move on to the last item.
Last item, item 19J, advisory boards, committees, commissions, member nominations. This is my item, Mayor and Council. Thank you so much for your patience through this process. I've received some additional nominations. We are still missing some, which we would put in the June council meeting now that the ordinance changing the process has changed. So we'll move forward.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Yes, the process was difficult to nominate people because of how strict the ordinance had become on who we could appoint. So I think lessening now the restrictions gives more opportunity to residents to participate, creating engagement and, participation. So thank you very much. I need a motion.
Motion.
I have a quick question. When would the advisory boards be meeting or start meeting?
More than likely, either late June or July, August.
I think
Since-
most already have at least 5 members. No? Still no? Okay.
And
Well,
I have
hopefully
to
by next
conduct,
meeting.
the issue is that I have to conduct a training for all of them at once. I have it broken down for 2 sessions, but I'd like for everybody to be nominated so I don't have to continue to schedule training sessions and I could just do them all together.
So please try and get your nominations in by June, is what she's trying to say.
Yes.
Okay. Motion to approve by Councilwoman Reynoso,
Second.
second by Councilman Pinedo. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Motion to approve the nominations as presented, made by Councilwoman Reynoso, seconded by Councilman Pinedo. Councilwoman Reynoso?
Yes.
Councilman Pinedo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cabral?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Porras?
Yes.
Mayor Fraga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, Madam Clerk, thank you very much. This concludes our May council meeting. Thank you very much. We've exhausted the agenda. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion to adjourn by Councilwoman Reynoso. So congratulations, you beat Councilman Pinedo today. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Pinedo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, all. God bless you.